did you see something deeper, that even you'll be a man, my son? It's the Jesus story. Of course, he's, like it or not, he's from a culture that's background is something to do with the Christianity religion. And the values come from something to do with that story. And what have we got? The essence of the Jesus message. Wisdom is speaking to you, I mean his experience, so to speak, his ideal, his God, is speaking to you as a father to a son. You'll be a man, my son. In other words, the wisdom is meant to be fatherly advice, as simple as that. But it's as simple as that is the very essence of the Jesus message. Lifted up his eyes to heaven and said in John 17, Father, and so on and so forth. It is what the Jesus message is. To see wisdom personified in God as the ultimate. Godly wisdom, not the wisdom of man, which is as foolishness with God, but godly wisdom that is in man because he's a child of God. And he blossoms into such in his fullness of life. Life abundant, life eternal. And that's outlined here, isn't it? In the poem. All that fullness of what we would in secular terms simply say good character. A fine person. Of course. Because our God is the personification of what we aspire to. Our values. The ones we are to truly love with all our heart, soul, mind and strength. Else how can you experience the reality of such here in the transitory and learn and adjust such, fine-tune it accordingly by our experience? So we listen to his poem or the guitar or the scripture in John's Gospel and we think, is this valid? Is this possibly an editorial? Is this some gloss historicity that someone's put on it at some point in history with different values to what were essentially in the original? Was the original that right anyway? It's not to be worshipped. It's got to be worshipped, you see. Not the written word, for goodness sake. That could be written and rewritten and rubbed out and goodness knows what. So this is perhaps a surprise to us, that you can have a document, a poem, doesn't speak like a religion, but has the same noble purpose, the same solution. I mean, Krishna is taking Arjuna under his wing, isn't he? He's saying, no, don't let your heart fail you. Now come now, listen to me, wisdom speaks to you. Ideally the wisdom of God, you see. Okay, the writer might get things wrong and, he's not perfect. And he hasn't got it all together. But he is saying, in a sense, in his ideal sense, what he understands his values to be. And in as far as such values are valid, they seem to stand the test of time. And some of our scripture is well, much more than 2,000 years old, much more. Yeah, and so on, different religions and so forth. Wow. So, Rudyard Kipling. If. Yeah, the actual title of the poem is If. Oh, of course, he does use the word if at almost every other line, doesn't he? At the beginning of every other line. Yes. And I noticed the way the rhyming works on each verse is made up of 8 lines. 1 and 3 rhyme, 2 and 4 rhyme. And then there's a change for 5 and 7 rhyming, and lines 6 and 8 rhyming. And he holds that all the way through. And no doubt the meter, the count of the syllables and so on, all adds to this amazing completeness of what I think of as traditional poetry, not the more modern non-rhyming poetry, which I still find incredibly penetrating. But this earlier type has its own way too, doesn't it? Because, of course, we're not just machines. We're this astonishing complex of personhood. And you can present things in a certain way that penetrate deep into the psyche, so to speak, are Gnostic in a beautiful and miraculous way. And I guess that's what beauty is. Can one build into a computer, a machine, an appreciation of beauty? Well, you'd have to have a machine that has an appreciation of goals and values. You'd have to have a machine that's as sophisticated as life is. And perhaps that's what we will get to quite quickly in our technology. I don't know. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.